Pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Canadian women's national team, Bev Priestman. And Bev, we know less than 2 months to go before kickoff at the Tokyo Olympics. You have a camp coming up, a couple of exhibition games as well. And the 28-player roster was just released today to show our viewers who was on that. You can see some familiar faces, Sheridan back in, McLeod back in when it comes to the goalkeepers. And we can also see that Kadisha Buchanan, when it comes to that back line, is back in there. Hasn't played since March of 2020 with the Canadian squad. And we know this needs to get reduced to 18 players for Tokyo, Bev. So the big overarching question heading into this final camp is, do you have an idea who your starting 11 is, or are you still using these games to figure that out? Is it still an audition?
Yeah, I think it's a balance. I have a good idea of, a core group, but I think the balance now is you want to get results, you want confidence, you want belief going into a major tournament. I think we got that in April. But there is some players that I definitely need to assess, and it's hard to do that just in the training session. So, yeah, it's a real balancing act. I think, we've gone for results, but ultimately I have to pick what I feel is the best 18 players plus the 4 alternates. So I'm close, but I'm not quite there yet.
Bev, you've had a couple of camps now to kind of, make your mark on these players and assess them as well. What would you say are kind of the key changes that you've tried to make to this group, and what are you still trying to work on going into this summer?
I think initially I've gone for hunger, desire, new faces. I think a level of freshness, in my opinion, when I took over was needed. And there is no shirt that's ultimately given. I think every player knows they have to work hard to earn that shirt. But I think what I've mainly gone after is the identity of the team. And we've gone after some real specific behaviours, regardless of what formation we're in. Every individual player, there's the sort of 3 when we have the ball, 3 without, that I'm looking for when they're in our environment, but when they're also out of our environment. So that when we come together in the pre-camp before the Olympic Games, we're in a great space to just tactically get ready for the opponents that we've got. So I think just that belief and confidence has been a big part of that. And just a real hunger and desire to go and do something special.
Canadian fans are smiling today, seeing the names Buchanan and Sinclair among the 28, Bev. Obviously, since he's only played about 30 minutes under you over these recent games, and Buchanan, this is the first time that she's been in camp with you as a head coach. How important will these games be in terms of getting them back into the side, as well as role definition, especially Christine Sinclair, and how she may fit into what you want to accomplish?
Yeah, I think, just having Christine for 30 minutes against Wales and, a couple of training sessions already, her impact was felt for me as a head coach. She's absolutely flying at the moment in NWSL and is looking better than ever, scoring, confident. And then Kadisha, I think, I'm really, really excited to get Kadisha in. I think the other 2 centre-backs or 3 centre-backs have done outstanding work without Kadisha, and that makes me only more confident in, should we have an injury, things can happen in Olympic Games. I think Canada's been cursed with centre-back issues in the last 2 tournaments. We have a great depth there, but Kadisha's world-class in my opinion, and I'm excited to have her in.
Well, let's go to the other position we have yet to discuss, and of course that's goalkeeping. And I wonder if this is Steph Lebey's net, or is there still an audition going on there?
Yeah, I think every position, it's right open, and it will be up until that first game. I think I have to use the good amount of time I've got. I've got this camp. We also have a good preparation camp before the games that we have in Tokyo. So I don't think there's many positions that are absolutely set. I think we have good depth. In this tournament, there's five subs. That's unique. We haven't had that in an Olympic Games, and I do think, looking at the last camp, the utilisation of the depth of the roster is critical. Now, obviously, in a goalkeeping position, that's not necessarily applicable, but I think we've got great depth in that position too. Kaylin's come back really strong. I do think Steph did outstanding when Steph had to step in, in Kaylin's absence. And yeah, they'll go right to the wire probably.
We saw this week, Bev, that Jordan Heitzema was included on a list, came 4th on a list, I think, of the best under-21 players in women's football by ESPN. What do you kind of need to see from her, or what's the next step from her in terms of becoming a regular fixture in your lineup rather than just maybe part of the squad?
Yeah, I think with Jordan, it's a difficult one because massive amount of potential there. You know, when I was at youth level, Jordan came through and jumped right in there. But I think any young player needs to be playing and wants to be playing, you know, week in, week out. And I feel for Jordan because at PSG, it's not like she's getting back-to-back 90 minutes. And so I think what you would have seen in the last camp is the outcome of that, which is a player that maybe lacks a little bit of confidence and a bit of game rhythm. But I do know that after the last camp, has put some real hard yards in, got some good minutes under her belt. So I think they get the best out of Jordan is a consistency and a level of belief there because she does have the potential. It's about us now untapping it.
I don't think any of us envy the position that you find yourself in, Bev. Yes, you're the head coach of the Canadian women's national team, which is an honor in its own right, but cutting this team down to 18 for this Olympic tournament is going to be exceptionally difficult. When you're making that decision, what are you basing it on? Is it about current form, playing time? How much is it about reputation and track record as well? And on top of that, just to add on to that question, you have some players coming back into your group who are coming off of injuries. And obviously, Diana Matheson still finds herself out through injury as well. How much does that weigh into your decision-making as well? Understanding that you're going to need players who are ready to go in a short tournament and can play multiple positions as well.
Yeah, it's probably the one thing that I'm losing the most sleep over at the moment. I think to get this group to 18 is like almost impossible. But there's a lot of factors that I'm juggling at the moment. You've got players returning from injury. How fit are they? I'll only know that, you know, come June, see where they're at and can they get fit enough to be able to play that many games in that space of time. I think that definitely has a major factor. I think when you look for Canada to get past that semi-final game, which, you know, we haven't, we are going to have to peak at the right moment and make our way to that game as well, by the way. It's not a given you get there. We're going to have to get there. So I think it's me mapping out, like, across that many games, who can go back-to-back, what does the rotations look like, what depth in which positions. It's a real challenge. I think they're making it really difficult for me, and that's a good thing. But I think I can't just go on history. I've also got to go on form. To win now, I have to look at how players are performing and have performed for me and their club over the last sort of 3 to 6 months.
Well, Bev, we appreciate you taking the time today. Good luck with that camp in Spain, those exhibition games, and we look forward to seeing Canada at the Tokyo Olympics.